Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Shadow of War on the GeForce GTX 1060, 6GB for FPS monitoring. I'll be using CAM. If you want to download this software, there's a link down in the description. And if you enjoy the content and want to support the channel directly, there's Patreon and affiliate links down in the description as well. So Shadow of War, I'll be doing 1080p, 1440p and 4K. To skip none of those sections of the video, check the description below. So first I'll show you 1080p on the G4560, which I will do pretty much a mix between high and ultra. Just a couple things, instead of ultra will be on high. And you'll notice that at the start of the battle, on the footage of the fortress, I'm going to drop below 60 frames per second to around the low 50s, something like that, and you'll notice that the GPU usage will drop. That means that the CPU is limiting the GPU, but it happens mostly when you're entering to a fortress battle with a lot of NPCs on screen. Then I switched to the Ryzen 3 1200, overclocked to 3.9 GHz, and when the fortress battle starts, the drops below 60 frames per second aren't as low. It still drops below 60, but it's less than on the G4560. So if you have a modern i5, a Ryzen 5, something like that, or better, you should be over 60 frames per second here without an issue, and the GPU at 100%. This is not the highest settings, of course. I'm using textures on high, the lighting on high, shadows on high, and the vegetation quality on that setting as well, instead of ultra. Well, I'm trying to get 60 frames per second, and with those settings enabled on ultra, 60 frames per second constant isn't happening. So I'll just show you a comparison at the end of the video using the tweak settings I used at the beginning of the video versus the ultra settings. The graphical difference is very small. You get better shadow distance and resolution, better vegetation and lighting, but those are very small differences. You will barely notice the difference while playing and fighting orcs and all that kind of stuff. The texture resolution on ultra was an insane VRAM hog. You need over 6 GB of VRAM, so if you want those textures, you might want to have an 8 GB of VRAM GPU. But I might test ultra textures later on with more RAM on my system. But yeah, other than that, I don't recommend ultra settings if it makes you drop below your frame rate target. Or you can just use dynamic resolution, that works fine, but the game will be blurrier. Then at 1440p, I first show you a 60 frames per second configuration, which is pretty much a mix between medium and high, but I had to overclock the GTX 1060 in order to stay closer to 60 frames per second. Then I show you 1440p ultra settings without the GPU being overclocked. In this case, since we don't drop below our 30 frames per second target using the highest settings, I use ultra, but if you want more frames, you might want to try the tweak settings from the 1080p footage. At 1440p, it will probably give us like 40 frames per second, but since my target was 30 frames per second here, ultra worked just fine. And finally at 4K, it was impossible to get 60 frames per second even using the lowest settings. So I just show you a mix between medium and high pretty much, and we get over 30 frames per second pretty much all the time. But the game doesn't look that good compared to the previous resolutions. And well, at the end of the video, 1080p my tweak settings versus ultra performance. This time around, the amount of options we have is very substantial. There are not that many options, but they affect the frame rate quite a bit. So first of all, if you want to get better performance, lower shadow quality from ultra to high, you can see at the right of the options what each option does. So for example, from high to ultra, we get double the resolution of the shadows plus more shadow distance. So you know what you're tweaking when you are in the options menu, which is good to have. All the explanations, the memory usage, all that kind of stuff. Then mesh quality can also make quite a difference in performance, but there's more pop in when you're moving fast through the map. The vegetation range, I recommend lowering that as well, which gives you a good improvement in performance. And finally, if you lower ambient occlusion, it can help you with the performance a little bit. And one very cool option that I found in the display page from the options menu, you have the dynamic resolution option if you want to use it. What this does is you put the frame rate that you want to get to, and the game will dynamically change the resolution in order to maintain that frame rate. I tested it out and it works pretty well, but if for example you try on a 1050 Ti, I don't know, maybe ultra settings, and you get 30 frames per second but you want to get 60s, the dynamic resolution option at 60 will make you go as low as 720p. It's very noticeable. So I recommend using dynamic resolution if you are very close to your target, like 10 frames away, and want to get to that frame rate. Other than that, it's very noticeable when the game gets blurrier. So just test it out and see how it works for you. In all my videos I didn't use the dynamic resolution option, excepting on my GTX 750 Ti video, but that's because it's a lower end card. Overall, I really like the options menu of this game. It explains everything to you, what each option does and what part of your PC is affecting. So it's a pretty good options menu if you ask me. A lot of options. You can even turn off many of the heads-up display stuff. So yeah, kudos to the developers about the options menu. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Quick ass. Keep pushing forward. That's my kill. You a glutton for pain? Well, dying once not enough for you, eh? Shame! You think you can take me with this lot here? We'll show you! Shut it! It's time for our fist to do the talking! Break his arms! Now kill him! Painfully predictable! Take one good Urugon by yourself, and here's a whole lot of us! Let's make it count, boys!
They're at the gatehouse! Stop them at the gatehouse!
You are safe, not me! Flame killer! You're back! I think you'll do better than last time?
They're going after the gatehouse! Back from the gatehouse!
Quick as. Onward to glory! Hold it right there! Shame! Well, look here. Found some mad flesh. Let's have some fun! Hold the gatehouse! One more point! You're taking a bit that looks like pure rage! Hold the dead! I want to fix shelter!
Cut you down! You're weak! Gotcha! Steady, lads! You're back!
And here I thought you were already dead and rotting!